All right, so this is classroom 3 that we're starting, and we're transitioning. Everything we've been doing up until this point has really been about our mind. And one of the assignments you had was to go out and ask a minimum of 5 people in your life a series of questions, which involved what was their first impression of you. If you can jump onto the Zoom link instead of watching it through Facebook, that would make it a little easier for you guys to interact with me. However, some of you wanted to watch it here on Facebook. I'm doing it from the computer this time. Let me see if I can grab the Zoom link one more time. Let's see. I want to go over a couple of things with you guys on the page. The page will look different on the computer than it will on the phone, but you want to make sure that you're going through the units. The units are where your daily assignments are. But if you look over here, we've created tags for the replays. So there's currently 2 replays that we've put up. Day 1 post, we created a tag called Day 1 post and Day 2 post. Okay, so the posts are geared towards specific questions that you need to answer or a specific task that you're being asked to do. And these are a little bit different than the units. The units are your actual homework assignments. You get points for doing everything. And like I shared at the beginning of the quest, whoever ends up with the most points, the first person is going to get a gift card, and the second person, I'm debating whether to do like a 30-minute call or a 1-hour call with you guys, but first and second place will definitely end up with some type of reward at the end of the quest. So keep track of your points. I have not created a cheat sheet for you to keep track of your points. However, we can go back and check them at the end. Let's see, I'm looking for the link. Here we go. If you guys are not able to get on the computer, you can always call. On these posts, you'll see that there's phone numbers you can dial in to listen to the conversation if you're not able to come online on the computer. We're alternating the times that we're doing the live streams just so that different people have an opportunity to participate. Otherwise, I get messages like, oh, I can't do it that day at that time. And so this just made it for me to be able to accommodate as many of you as possible. So let's post this. Let's see here. Where do I find? So for those of you that are in the chat inside of Facebook, I just went ahead and in the comments posted the Zoom link. Looks like it won't let me pin it, but you can definitely go ahead and follow the link and it'll take you to the actual Zoom conference. Okay, so I wanted to start with the assignments of asking people in your life what they thought about you, their first impression, if there's anything that they would change. The whole idea of this is to start to get an external view of how people see you, right? We've been told most of our life that we shouldn't worry about how people see us, that that's not what's important. And I like to challenge that from this perspective, meaning if the things people are saying, right, when you ask these type of questions, don't align with the view that you have of yourself, chances are there's something inside of you that needs to alter or needs to change. you have to be okay with the communication you're getting from people. So I went ahead and I did the assignment yesterday. And when I asked my daughter, my eldest daughter, what was your first impression of me? She went back to a memory of when she was about 6 or 7 years old, where she says that she wanted to play, and I told her this isn't playtime, and I was very serious. And she goes, Mom, I decided that you were bossy, you were funny, but you were serious, right? Because for her as a kid, she's like, I thought my mom was fun and funny to be around. But that day, that changed, and I realized sometimes my mom's going to be bossy, sometimes my mom's going to be playful and funny, and sometimes she's going to be, she used the word demanding, right? So I want to hear from those of you that got a chance to do the exercise, but I wanted to play a video. This I found on Instagram.
You are so beautiful. I just love your raw and natural qualities. You feel so soft when I touch you.
Who are you talking?
I'm talking to my plant, honey.
Okay.
What?
What?
You're drinking tap water?
I'm thirsty.
You want to clog your pineal gland with fluoride?
Honey.
Come on. So how was your day today?
It was good. You know, but there was this lady. She was just.
Can you guys hear the audio on this, or you can only see the video?
What's with the mirror?
What was that situation?
You can hear it, Kaya.
Thank you.
Well, normally when someone triggers you, they're actually triggering
I can see it in here.
part of yourself internally, showing you where you have more work to do.
Never mind. I'm home.
Well,
No, I was only gone a couple days.
who knows what kind of bad energy you could have picked up along your travels. Just extra precaution here. Clean up your vibratory field. Pick your foot up. All right, other foot.
I love it.
Am I okay now?
Welcome home.
You make me feel love and happiness.
I'm only the external reflection of your own love and happiness.
Can you just stop with the spiritual stuff and let me say something?
It's real.
Okay, so I did this because when I found this, I was like, this illustrates visually how a lot of us that are in this group are very spiritual, right? Some of us are in a health and wellness space. Some of us do healing work. Some of us are readers, coaches. I know a couple of you are even traditional business owners, right? But at the end of the day, what's brought us collectively together is this idea that everything is energy, right? And that everything vibrates and expands externally or it contracts. So when I found this video earlier, I was like, this so depicts visually the experience that sometimes, even though this isn't a dating situation, the experience that sometimes our clients, our family members, and even the people we live with might be experiencing. We just don't see it, right? So I want to hear from a couple of you. Let's see if I can go back to Zoom here. Meeting controls. Too many tabs, too many buttons. How do I go back to? Participants, there we go. I'm like, I want to see who's on. Okay, so Trisha, you're unmuted. Did you get a chance to do the homework assignment of asking people in your life the questions that were posted?
No, I didn't.
No? Okay.
I just moved where I'm at, so I don't really know anybody out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I could ask family members, you know, but.
Yeah, so inside the exercise, it says ask a minimum of 5 people in your life, friends, family, clients, and like someone you recently met.
Okay.
So make sure if you get a chance do that and then post what insights you get out of it. How about you,
Okay.
Anastasia?
Hi guys. Sorry, I did not get a chance to do that exercise yet.
Okay. I saw you posted your results from the quizzes.
I did.
What did you learn about yourself? What insights did you get from the quizzes?
The love language one was kind of exactly as I had taken it the last time, so that one didn't really surprise me very much.
Mm-hmm.
The personality one surprised me a ton because every time I've ever taken that, I've always been more extroverted than introverted, and to see that shift in my personality was really interesting.
Okay. Okay. I also noticed you worked on your vision board.
Yes.
How did that go for you?
It was fun. It was something I was already planning on doing today, so that it was an assignment, like, was exciting because it just kind of worked into activities that I wanted to do with the kids today.
Yeah.
And it kind of shifted my energy as I was like looking at magazines and looking at words that were jumping out at me, and it made me kind of change my energy statement. And I had this really fun idea to organize my board into 9 squares, like a feng shui.
Yeah.
So every square is a different area of my life and the goals and the things that I want to like work on and envision there. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to do the 5 languages quiz, I went ahead and I added the link in the comments section because I realized I told you guys to go take it, but I hadn't put the link, so I apologize about that. But this is what the page will look like. And I've taken it, I usually do it about once a year, and sometimes there's a big difference, and it just truly depends on how we are reinventing ourselves. And I want to start to shift our conversation a bit from mindset and more into the body, right? A lot of what we've been digging into has been our internal stuff. Oddly enough, one of the guests that I'm wanting to have the last day when we do the Q&A section, she does a series of trainings called kinetic divination, where she muscle tests, and she does it remotely and in person with people. And it's just very powerful work to know what your body is saying to you, because our body vibrates in energy, and our body gives us messages, from things that we're allergic to things that we should be drawn to, right? Things that our body craves, things that it needs and it wants. So today I want to start to talk with each of you about what are some of the practices that you've put in place to start to listen to your body. Let's see. Looks like I'm going to need another camera. Let me stop. Stop share. And there we go. Yay, I see myself. Okay, so I'll start with you, Anastasia. I'm surprised the majority of people are watching on Facebook. And this was my one hesitation for streaming Zoom into Facebook, was that people were going to stay on Facebook and not come into the Zoom. Definitely, guys, if you want to do the engaging dialogue, because I love to do the coaching portion of this, and I need you in Zoom to do it, okay? Anastasia, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. So let me hear from a couple of you on Facebook. Do you have a practice currently that involves your body? You know, do you exercise? Do you walk? Do you partake in yoga, or maybe even meditation? And now I get to deal with the delay. Okay. So nobody's posting on there. So I want to introduce you guys to something that we did in the last energy expansion. I'll go ahead and I'll bring it up. And it's a breathing technique. So how many of you, since I think there's about 5 of you on Facebook, have, Frida says, walk, gym, yoga, meditation. Love it. Tish is letting us know that she did the personality quiz. She got adventure. Yeah, I was really happy to see how many of you actually went and took the personality quiz. So let's see. I want to start with what's known as boxed breathing. For those of you that have actually done breath work, box breathing is exactly that. The reason it's called box breathing is because you're going to inhale for a count, exhale for a count, hold your breath for a count, and then inhale again for a count. And so it's this 4-part sequence. They also do a 3-part type of breath, but I enjoy the box breathing. And so I want to show you. Let's see, I gotta go to share again. Trisha, somebody's mic is. Hey, Crystal, nice of you to join us. Looks like you don't have a mic, but you have a camera. That's interesting. You're gonna have to hit to listen to the audio either through your computer or listen to the audio through your phone. Okay, so share screen. Okay.
I think a great complement to all the hard physical exercise that we do is to cultivate an awareness practice. It could be sitting meditation, like I'm doing now, sitting on a cushion, cross-legged, kind of what you think of when you think of somebody, practicing Zen meditation. But it could also be just sitting in a chair, just finding a quiet place in a park or in your house. Could be sitting in your car parked in your driveway. Just turn off the radio and sit there in silence for a few minutes and follow your breath. Silent meditation practice is a great complement to all the hard physical exercise that we do because it develops awareness, it develops concentration, it reduces stress. And I think one exercise, a breathing exercise that I practice that helps transition you into the ability to sit in this for an extended period of time is an exercise called box breathing. And this has been around a long time, but I think it's more recently it's been popularized by Mark Devine of SealFit, who puts out great material, by the way. You should check out his books, Unbeatable Mind and The Way of the Seal. But anyway, box breathing is very simple. All it is you take a deep breath, a deep belly breath. So you breathe down into your belly, let it fill up your belly, and then fill up your diaphragm and up into your chest. So you take a nice deep breath over the course of about 5 seconds. Then you hold that breath for 5 seconds. Then you, over the course of the next 5 seconds, you exhale all that air. So you let your chest drop and eventually push out with your belly all the air. And then you refrain from taking another breath for 5 seconds. So it's 5 seconds in, hold for 5 seconds, 5 seconds out, refrain for 5 seconds. If 5 seconds is too much, you can start with 3 seconds or 2 seconds. It's basically just going to look like this. Take a really deep breath, hold it for 5. Let your chest drop, push it out with your stomach for 5. And refrain for 5 before you can repeat the process. And you do that for about 5 or 10 minutes. I do it for 10 minutes.
Okay, so I don't necessarily do this type of breathing for 10 minutes. I don't advise that if you're new to breath work that you do this type of breathing for 10 minutes. I highly suggest that if you're going to be practicing box breathing, that you start with maybe 3 to 5 repetitions of it. It will not take you 10 minutes, I promise you, especially if you're just holding the breath for 5 seconds. Like you heard in the video, if 5 seconds is too long, do 4 seconds. If that still feels like it's too long, do 3 seconds. You've got to find the right pace for you and the right length of time for you. You can get lightheaded, so it's very important that you do this sitting in an upright position. So don't do the standing. So definitely do it sitting. Have any of you that are watching practiced box breathing before? Because we're going to go into another type of breath work. And I just want to gauge first before I show you the next video. Trisha, have you practiced this type of breath work?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I was like, she unmuted herself. I think she's going to say something. Okay. I want to change the view of this. Let me see if I'm able to. Speaker view. Oh, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Yay, we've got more people coming in. Okay, so part of the reason that I like using Zoom is that we can go into what's called breakout rooms, and it's one of the things we're going to be doing not tomorrow, but I think it's the last day where we're actually going to partner up in groups and do some exercises. Okay, I want to show you guys Wim Hof breathing. And if you're watching the replay or if you're watching live, we're going to go through this video, and I'm going to do the breath work as we go through the video also. I just advise that, first of all, drink some water before we start. And then second of all, make sure that you are sitting down in a safe place, right? Like you're not driving. Just make sure that you're in a space where you can sit and kind of be still while we do the breath work. It's going to be about 10 minutes long. Things that you will definitely be experiencing is you will, I'm not even going to tell you that you might, you will feel lightheaded. That's because his breathing technique is intended to send the maximum amount of oxygen to the brain. This is a type of breathing. I don't do it on a daily basis, but I do practice it weekly. I do my Wim Hof breathing in the shower, sitting in the bathtub with cold water. And part of the reason is he very much uses this breathing technique and teaches people how to regulate their body temperature in icy cold weather. He's known as the Iceman. And let me go ahead and bring this video up.
Hi guys, welcome. This is a guided breathing session. Relax to the...
So let me make sure I'm sharing it. I don't think I was. Share screen. There we go.
deepest. Lie down, sit down, whatever it takes. Relax. Are you ready? Here we go. Round number 1. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Go with the flow of the breath. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, into the belly, into the chest, and let go. Like a wave. Make it circular. Fully in, letting go. Just keep on going. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. Ten more. Fully in, let it go. Five more. Let's give it all we got. Last one. Fully in and let go. All right. 1 minute breath hold from now on. Be in this moment. Let the body do what the body is capable of doing. Be aware of your heartbeat. Slow it down and just be in this moment. Let that relaxation spread down to your toes, into your fingertips, to the base of your neck and head. You are almost there. Do you want to prolong your breath hold? Pause the video now and continue when you feel the urge to breathe. Okay, recovery breath in, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and hold for 15 seconds. Exhale in 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Round number 2. Back into that rhythm. Breathe in, out. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. In, out. In, into the chest and let go. Like a wave. Make it circular. Fully in, letting go. Just keep on going. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. In with peace, out with stress. Ten more. Fully in, let it go. Nice, deep, circular breaths. Five more. Let's give it all we got. Last one. Fully in. And on the exhale, stop. 1.5 minute breath hold from now on. Feel, become aware of your body. If your hands and feet are tingling, or you feel your temperature, that's okay. You're doing fantastic. If you need to breathe before I give the cue, that's okay. You are almost there. Do you want to prolong your breath hold? Pause the video now and continue when you feel to breathe. When you're ready, fully in and hold for 15 seconds. Exhale in 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Round number 3. Back into that rhythm. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. In with the relaxation, out stress. In, out. In, out. In, out. Into the belly, into the chest, and let go. Like a wave. Circular. Fully in, and letting go. Just keep on going. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. In with peace, out with stress. Ten more. Fully in, let it go. Nice, deep, circular breaths. Five more. Let's give it all we got. Last one. Fully in. And on the exhale, stop. 1.5 minutes breath hold from now on. Become aware of the blood running through your veins, your heart beating. Feel. Thirty seconds left. You are almost there. Do you want to prolong your breath hold? Pause the video now and continue when you feel the urge to breathe. All right. Breathe in and hold for 15 seconds. Exhale in 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Let your breathing return to normal as you finish up the round. Move your body bit by bit, starting with your fingers and your toes. Let your breathing normalize. If you liked this guided breathing session, we got more for you. We got a free app on our website. Download it. It's good stuff.
Okay. I want to know how many of you were able to do that breath work. Let's see. How you doing, Anastasia?
I was cooking dinner. I could not do breath work. I would have to go back.
You're like, I'm cooking dinner. I love this. You're too cute. Okay. How about you, Frida?
I was able to do it. It took me to the third round to be able to almost make the 1.5 minute hold. But the first time I took a small little in-breath, and then the second time, for some reason, I was distracted. I tried to sit up and I had to take 2 breaths, and then the last one, I made it almost to the end. So one little tiny one.
Nice, nice, nice. Tanya says, not me. 1.5 minutes is a long time to hold your breath. Yeah, if you're new to breath work, guys, yes, it feels like you can't do it. But this is part of us now starting to say, you know what? I'm going to use my mind to start to control my body, because it does. If we're not used to holding our breath on an exhale, that's part of what makes his breathing technique different than a lot of the other breath work that I've been involved. I was introduced to this type of breathing during a ayahuasca and 5-MeO-DMT. It's known as the God particle ceremony. And we had to practice holding our breath on the exhale and being able to hold as much breath in our lungs as possible before we were introduced to the medicine. And this was about almost 3 years ago now. And it just has become part of my maintenance breath work is what I call it. That's why I say that I do it on a weekly basis and not necessarily on a daily basis. It's pretty intense. It's definitely one of those things that's not for the faint of heart. I think one of the things that I push for, and it was interesting, when I asked my daughter the questions, I'm going to go ahead and I took notes. You know, like I tell you guys, I do the homework along with you guys. Sometimes I do it before, sometimes I do it at the same time. So I asked one person I recently met the questions, and the first question was, what was your first impression of me? And this person said, you're very forward, you're kind, you're beautiful. When I asked how they felt around me, this person said, you're very open and different. You make me feel comfortable, like I can share anything with you. And when I asked the last question, which was, is there anything you would change about my personality or my behavior, anything you would change about me? And the person said, no, I wouldn't change anything. When I asked my daughter, and I'm sharing these as like a, what do you call it? Like a differentiation, right? When I asked my daughter, she's known me her whole life, right? She, as I was sharing at the beginning of the stream, said, you know what? You're bossy, you're funny, you're serious. Like that's the first thing I remember thinking about you as being mom, right? And then when I asked her how she felt when I'm around her, when she's around me, and she says, happy. And then she goes, sometimes I feel like you're going to ask me to do something. And then when I asked, is there anything you would change about me? She also said no. And to add to that, she goes, no, because then that wouldn't make you you. So these are very different type of responses than the first time I ever did this exercise. The first time I did this exercise, one of my co-workers at the time said, when I first met you, I thought you were a total bitch. You were way too serious. And I just kept thinking, what does this girl want from me? She can't really be this nice. And when I went to ask other people, right, even my kids at the time, their answers were pretty much around the same type of answer. They would tell me, oh, you're bossy, right? You're always so serious, which is interesting. Here we are almost 10 years later, I'm asking them these questions again, and I'm asking people around me these questions, and their view of me has totally altered. So let's go back to, how does this tie into How do we bring in the whole mind-body connection? Being a body worker for 20 years, I got to see just how much our bodies hold on to trauma. A lot of you shared some very personal things in the first session, the first class that we had. And I acknowledge you guys for the courage that it takes to open up that way. And the reason that I included in the, let's call it the class, the quest, the whole mind, body, spirit, soul, was because I wanted to make sure that fundamentally I went through the foundations of each one of those things. Because we talk about it a lot of the times, but no one ever really stops and says, well, this is some of the practices that should be done with the body, or here are some of the practices that could be done with the mind, right? And I was very blown away last time with the class how many people had never done any breath work, right? Because in my world, I'm thinking everybody does breath work. And now in my world, I think everybody does yoga, but we don't. And one of the things that I loved about my yoga training was that it was trauma informed, and it was also Christian based. And with that being said, it's very important to start to let go of the stories we're carrying in our bodies. And the only way that's going to happen is through the type of work that we just did right now. That breath work, believe it or not, when you're sending oxygen, not just to your brain, but you're listening and he's saying, you know, letting go of all the bad stuff, right? Like there's a meditation I sent my daughter once, my 19-year-old, that literally the girl who recorded it on the Excel, she would say, let that shit go. And I found it funny, right? The first time I heard it, but that's the truth. Like we hold on to so much garbage. We hold on to so much shit in our life, and it impacts us. And sometimes it's stuff that's not even ours. It's stuff that we're carrying from our parents and stuff from their parents' parents. I'm a big believer that we carry ancestral energy. The Bible talks about how we have, you know, the sins of our fathers. Like it's encoded in our DNA. Luckily, you know, we are starting to become more aware or awake, and we can start to do things about that type of stuff. Let me see, where is my pendulum? Oh, it's right here. So if you've watched some of the live streams I did inside the Lightworkers live feeds or some of these spiritual feeds, you know that I work with pendulums quite a bit. And the reason I like pendulums when people are starting out to tune into their body is the first class I ever took before I started even doing any body work was called non-invasive diagnostics. And we were taught to work with pendulums. We're also taught to work with what are called dowsing rods. And if you guys have seen those before, they're like these bars that are L-shaped, and you hold them and they will open and close depending on the energy in a specific location or even in a room. Other things that we learned at that point in my life was iridology, right? Being able to diagnose seeing the iris. There was also tongue analysis, right? I'm gonna stick out my tongue at you guys. Our tongue says a lot about what's going on in our body. Anastasia's on here, and I know she's cooking, but she got to see several times when I would be working with clients that I would check their pulse, and I wasn't checking their pulse to see how fast the rate was going. I was checking the pulse from a Chinese diagnostics perspective. And I'm not saying all these things because I want you guys to go learn all these things. I'm saying them to reinforce the idea that your body is sending you messages, right? It's showing it through your eyes. It's showing it on your skin, right? It's showing it on your tongue, in your pulse. In Chinese medicine, they test all 12 meridians just with the pulse. They have a series of questions that they ask, but it starts with checking the pulse, checking the tongue. I'm able to tell just by looking at somebody's tongue if they're a highly anxious type of person, or if the person has a fiery temper, or if the person has digestive issues. I mean, there's so many things you can tell just by looking at the tongue. With that being said, if you do not have a pendulum, you can make one. All you really need is a cord. It can be a chain that you hang a ring on. It could be, I've done this with necklaces that have something heavier at the end. It doesn't necessarily have to be the nice fancy pendulum, okay? So we're just gonna go through some of the basics of using a pendulum. And all this is based on the idea that we are energetic beings and that things are vibrational. And with that being said, things like this, and I've done this where I've hung it on something just so that the person that I was testing could see that it wasn't me moving it with my hand, because a lot of skeptics will say, oh, you're the one moving it. Okay, so we're gonna go through just some fundamentals of pendulum work. Gosh, let me know if, how many of you actually have a pendulum that you can work with tonight? And I'm realizing this is the second time I do this group, because I've only been doing them at the end of the year, going into the beginning of the year. Going into next year, we're debating doing them once a quarter, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Frida says, I have one. Okay, so get your pendulum, or like I said, you can use a necklace. I'm trying to see if I have a necklace I can use as an example. I know some of you spiritual peeps probably have necklaces with a stone hanging at the end. Those work great. I've had my kids make them with a key. Just hang the key from a string. So I'm realizing next time around, when you guys watch the replay, somebody put in the notes. I need a note taker. My accountability coach is in Santa Cruz today. She's going to be celebrating New Year's in Santa Cruz, so she won't be back until a couple of days on the 1st. Okay. Frida asked, Crystal, beautiful. Crystal says, I use my crystal necklace. Yes, those work fabulous for this kind of work. Tanya says, I do. All right, so a couple of things. There's a lot of people, I need to turn off the heater. I'm starting to burn up. There's a lot of people in the spiritual space that say, you know, your stones are sacred, your pendulums are sacred, your cards are sacred. And while they are, stuff is going to get on them regardless. And it really is, what is your belief around it? Okay? Because I have no problem letting anyone borrow any of my tools. But that's just because that's the space I've created for my tools. I hope that makes sense. I know that that's not what's normally taught. And as you guys can tell, I'm not your traditional spiritual person. Just like I'm not, I keep telling people I'm like in that middle zone. I'm like that bridge between multiple worlds. So with that being said, I clear the energy of any device I'm going to work with when I go to work with it, right? Just like when I enter a room and I'm going to work with someone and work on their body, the minute I enter the room after they've gotten on my table, I clear the space, I clear the energy, and I connect with them after I've done that. So I hope that answers your question, Frida. Frida says, what do you want in the notes? I will put it here. That we need for the class when we go into talking about pendulums and the breath work, I need to create a cheat sheet with the links to the videos and tools that you're going to need for the class. So basically like a summary of what people are going to need to either watch or have links to, or what tools they're going to need for the class. That's what I'm thinking about right now. All right, so let's imagine or pretend that I've cleared the energy, which I have, and you're going to start with asking your device, your pendulum in this case, and the same thing is if you're going to use dowsing rods. I should so order some of those again. You can make dowsing rods out of hangers too, by the way. That's what we did in school. So I'm going to ask, show me a yes. And so my yes with the pendulum swings back and forth. And then I'm going to ask the pendulum to show me a no. And my no goes in a circular clockwise. For some of you, your yes might go clockwise and your no might go counterclockwise. For some of you, your yes might literally swing, and I'm going to make it swing this way. It might swing left and right, versus my yes goes front and back. So there's no right or wrong for your yes and no. There is, when we are wanting to follow the pattern of your energy, though, with a pendulum, that I can ask the pendulum, show me the direction of this person's energy. And if the direction of their energy is going counterclockwise, then I know that I need to restore that person's energy in a particular area to have it go clockwise. Okay, so that's one time that I do set an intention for shifting how my pendulum moves, but I'm shifting how my pendulum moves not because the pendulum's telling me, hey, yes or no. I'm using it to show me the way energy is flowing on a chakra, for example, right? Like if I'm testing the heart chakra and I'm saying, and I can do this remotely, and Frida, since you're really good at messaging back and forth here, I'll use you as an example. I can tune in to Frida and I can literally say to my pendulum, right? I want to tune in to Frida's energy. And then I'm going to ask, are we tuned in? My pendulum starts going yes. And then I'm going to go to her crown for a minute. So I want to tap into the energy of her crown. And I want to know if her crown energy is going clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, so her energy on her crown is flowing in a clockwise direction. Then I would go to the next chakra and I could literally skip around. I could literally go space to space if she was here or even if she's not here. Okay. Is this helping you guys in terms of understanding how you can use pendulums? I know Anastasia's cooking. We lost Trisha. Where did Trisha go? Frida says Facebook's behind the Zoom. Yes, there's a delay. There's always a delay when it goes into Facebook, Frida. That's part of the reason I like people to be in the Zoom. Trisha says, Kai, I have to go. I'll catch the rerun. Okay, yes, the energy that I felt inside was moving amazing. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's imagine for a moment that, let me see. I'm asking if anybody in the group has a headache, and I'm getting a yes. Okay. And then I'm going to ask, is this a headache that we can clear? And I'm getting a no. Does a person want their headache cleared? And then I'm getting a no. Okay. So I've told you guys multiple times in the live streams, especially the spiritual live streams, that you can tune in and ask. Eventually, you want to get to a point that instead of using a pendulum to tell you a yes or no, you can sense it in your body. Okay? So it took me a couple of years to develop that skill. So you want to practice it, and it doesn't have to take you years. It really, really can be done in an instant. You just have to trust and believe that you're tuning in. So you want to practice, okay? So things that you can do to make your pendulum work, let's say, more accurate, because sometimes our ego gets in the way, mine does, is with a simple deck of cards. And you know how the decks of cards are, they're black and red most of the time. Sometimes I think I've seen them blue and red, but they're usually different colors, right? And so you can use a deck of cards, and this is on the court, guys. This is the practice that you want to do before you start using pendulums to check in with your chakras and check in with your body, okay? So you're going to take a deck of cards, you're going to shuffle the cards, and you're going to draw a card face down. You're going to use your pendulum over it, and you're literally going to ask the question, is this a red card? And it'll either swing yes or no. And then you ask them, you know, if you get a yes or a no, then you should know what the card is, right? Flip it over, and then you know if you got it right or wrong. Then do the next card. And so that's the fastest way I can teach you to get more accurate with your pendulum work. But the bonus to that is I want you to start to ask your body to show you what a yes feels like, to show you what a no feels like, right? For some of you, your intuitive sense is going to be maybe one of hearing. So if you're not feeling it, you can literally make the statement, can you show me, tell me, or let me know what a yes feels like, right? Instead of going through each one at a time. Spirit, energy, like us tapping into energy is very funny. And I've said this multiple times too. How we ask a question plays a big role on what type of answer we get. So you can ask, can you show me, let me feel, right? So I want to know, hear, or feel what a yes looks like. I want to know, hear, or feel what a no feels like or looks like. However those word combinations work best for you, you can do all three of them at the same time. You don't have to do each one at the same time. Frida says, nice test, an example of how to test body to know answers. Yeah. Okay, so I've used this before to muscle test people for allergies, right? It's very, very, and I will say, it's very accurate in helping people figure out even if a supplement is best for their body or not. And the reason I like the pendulums more than the muscle testing with the finger, right? Another one is you hold your fingers tightly, right? And you're making a ring, and you're going to ask your body for a yes, and you ask your body for a no. Your no usually feels like you can break it apart easily, okay? That's another one that you can do. The other one, and I've shown this in videos before, is with your fingertips, okay? We have tiny little hair follicles on our fingertips, and we can literally tell our body and say, hey, show me, and it's called the galvanic skin response. Show me what a yes feels like, and it should feel silky smooth. So I want you guys to go ahead and practice this one. This is my favorite one that I do even in meetings. When I go in and I consult for business owners, or sometimes I'm doing a strategy call with someone, I might not have all like my cards or my tools or things with me. I will be doing this, right? Especially if, I always say, if my spider senses go off, I go and I check with my body. Because all of these responses that you're getting are your body's letting you know something. Okay, so go ahead and practice this one. So you're literally saying, okay, I'm calibrating to a yes. I'm feeling a yes. And then we're gonna feel a no. Hi, Candy. So go ahead and practice this one. And then let me know if you guys are clear on the instructions, right? So there's this one, you pull. And I'm gonna move my chair out of the way. The last one that I'll teach you guys is actually standing. When you stand, okay, let's see. I feel like I need to move this thing. Okay, so I know I'm cut off, but you want your feet to be about shoulder width apart when you do this type of muscle testing, okay? And you're gonna put your hands down on your side. You're gonna look straight ahead. So don't put your head down and don't put your head up. Just keep your head and look straight ahead. And you're gonna take a deep breath in, exhale, relax your body. And it helps if you close your eyes. When you close your eyes, you're gonna ask your body to show you a yes. So I'm gonna ask my body to show me a yes. My yes falls forward. So literally you will feel your body go forward, okay? That's my yes though. I'm gonna say, show me a no. And my no goes backwards. For some of you, you might feel like you're swaying left and right. You can do this to or with someone else. It doesn't necessarily have to be just you, okay? So I've done this before where I love people that are skeptical that we can read energy from the body, right? I had a gentleman in my office once and he's like, I don't believe in any of this energy stuff. He happened to work in the same building that I work in, and I knew that he drank beer. And I said, do you have a beer in your office? He's a private investigator, and he says, yes. And I said, well, go get a beer. And we happened to have an apple in the office. So he came back with his beer, and I said, all right, I just want you to put your arm out. And this is the last type of muscle testing that we do. Like we have people put a fist, hold their arm strong to the side, and resist. And so my instructions to him were to resist. And then I said, hold the beer. And you have the person hold the object to their chest. And then you tell them to go ahead and resist. If their body does not vibrate with this, their arm's going to go weak. If their body vibrates with it, it's going to be strong. Or if it helps them, it's going to feel like a stronger hold. So we did that with the apple and the beer, and he got to see what happened with the body. And he thought it was like a parlor trick, or it was funny. And he goes, I don't know, and I can't explain why, but he goes, I believe you now. With the standing one, I've had people stand, and I've asked their body to show me a yes and a no. And we just literally sit in silence, or stand in silence in this case, and ask the body yes and no type questions. And you can do this not just for foods or things people are allergic to. You can also ask your body if it wants to be with a person or not, or if it wants to move to a certain location or not. And it really is on how you ask the question. So you have to be willing to suspend, right? Here we go. You've got to be willing to suspend a logic and ask the questions, right? I know some of you said, oh, I'm thinking of moving, or I'm going to be moving. Well, have you checked in with your body? Because chances are your body has something to say about what you're logically or mentally are thinking of doing. We have cellular memory. I shared this story in one of the lives, but they've now found that inside of our heart, and this is not recent, by the way, I think this was like in 2006 or 2009. They did a study because a young girl had received a heart. She was 8 years old. The donor's heart was 10, and it was also a female's heart that she received. But the minute she came out of surgery, everything looked great, everything looked fine. The little girl started having visions and bad dreams of being chased in a forest and attacked and killed. And her doctor right away said, you know what, we're going to send you to a psychologist. This isn't normal. And the psychologist right away realized this wasn't a regular dream. This was a memory. And so out of this, they started doing studies where they discovered that our heart actually sends chemicals and signals to the brain, and that in itself, the tissue of the heart holds memory. This to me, I was like, well, yeah, we've been seeing this for years in the healing space, but it brought science to the idea that we have cellular memory. Now, they're saying this is going on with the heart and that this goes on with the brain, but the reality, right, the reality that I live in, I recognize that we hold cellular memory all throughout our body. It's not just the heart or just the brain, it's everywhere. And for some people, that trauma that they incurred, they're going to hold it in their neck. For some people, they're going to hold it in their gut. For some people, it literally can be their knee. Louise L. Hayes wrote a book. Let me see if I can remember. Let's see. Love the internet. Heal Your Body. That's the name of the book. And she goes through so many different parts of our body are correlated with specific illnesses or wounds or problems that we're facing. And here I was believing in all this stuff, but a skeptic. And I remember having a really bad knee pain. And this was about 10 years ago. I was leaving my ex for the first time. And that knee pain just wasn't getting any better. When I left him on the drive from Modesto to Los Angeles, I was probably about halfway to LA when I realized that my knee pain had completely gone away. And the whole time I lived in Los Angeles, did not have that knee pain. I came back to Modesto to be back with this man, and that knee pain came right back. It would be persistent and wouldn't go away. So I had to have a heart-to-heart conversation with my knee to let go of whatever it was holding on to. And so different aches, different pains will be attached to something. All right, I want to hear from some of you. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? Because we've covered quite a bit of things today in a very short amount of time. How about you, Frida?
My thoughts and my ideas are just about what's happening this evening, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm a yoga instructor and I meditate when I feel like it. And I've done a lot of breath work in the past, and I was familiar with Wim Hof and only tried it once. And I'm just really enjoying still the effects of the last portion, the third round. Activated and stimulated a spot in me that shows me about getting deeper in touch, which is what my point is, with my abilities and gifts. And so the energy that it brought forth just is really clean, real clean.
Good.
And I'm one who loves to clean house. And, just really get into my energy and be like, I'm the only one that belongs in this body. And, you can get out of it because it's mine. And that seems like an amazing way to do it very quickly. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see if Anastasia's done cooking. I'm getting hungry. I'm like, maybe I should go visit Anastasia tonight. She lives here in Modesto. Miss Anastasia.
There wouldn't be any food left. My 12-year-old ate it all.
What did you cook tonight?
I did just a vegetable medley and some bacon burgers and chicken skewers. We're starting a keto journey as a family.
Nice. I think I shared with you I had put my son on a keto diet last year and he lost 25 pounds.
I hope that works. We're actually doing it more for like the autism symptoms and the focus and the brain stuff. So
yeah,
I'm very excited to see how it goes.
So oddly enough, you bring up your son, and one of the things that this year I was very challenged with was my son, and he's going to be, he's 12, and introducing him to some of the breath work was very, very beneficial, along with getting rid of the sugar and getting him on a keto diet. He's gone back to some of his other behaviors now that he visits dad more frequently. But the minute he notices that he's gaining weight, he's like, Mom, I need to do that keto thing again.
Oh, how great. It's really nice that he can like cognitively recognize that. That's awesome.
Yes, we want to raise mindful children. That's what I keep saying. So let me ask you from the standpoint, Anastasia, because you've worked with me on and off, both professionally, and I know a couple of times we've done some mini coaching sessions. From the perspective of like this whole mind-body healing connection, what can you share like in terms of insights either from today or from the work that you've done?
It's a very big question.
You got this, girl.
When you were doing the pendulum thing and you asked about the headache, I wonder if you were channeling into me because I have a headache and now I'm wondering why I don't want it healed.
Right. I was like, okay, does anybody in the group have a headache? And it was like, yes. And then I was like, do they want this worked on? And it was like, no. I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave it alone.
Yeah, no. I'm not normally one to turn down that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering what's going on with myself, or if there was more than one of us or what, but that was kind of funny to me. I'm interested in learning more about the pendulum work. I loved that you brought up like how you used to assess clients, because I have incorporated some of that into my practice.
Nice.
And that has been really cool. And then just on my own like personal journey, talking about like where we hold our pain or our emotions or whatnot. And it's really only in the last like maybe 5 years that I've been able to really let go of trauma that was in my neck. And it's still such a big deal to me and so amazing. And it brings a lot of that up again. Like when I was in massage school, I couldn't let anybody touch me on days that we were working neck. And it's just where I'm at now from where I was then in 2011. I've come so far, and those little reminders are just so wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Is it okay with you? I don't know if you remember when we did the self-defense class. Is it okay if I share a little bit about that day?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. So a few years back when I had a full-fledged holistic health practice, I did the count the other day, Anastasia, and there was a total of 14 of us on the team. One of the things that I brought to our practice is that we would have a self-defense class. And the reason I'm bringing this up is one of the most empowering things that you can do is physically know how to protect yourself. Like physically know what to do in the event that you are physically attacked. And I remember Anastasia was one of the participants in this particular class, and we had gotten to a point where we were practicing what to do if somebody goes to choke you. And I share this because she brought up, the energy that she held in her neck. And I'm going to say part of what I'm still picking up is, throat energy needing to open up. And a lot of it is more around speaking up, Anastasia, not so much as like you holding past stuff there, but more just being able to speak up more. But Anastasia reacted in a way that's normal for somebody that's been assaulted before. And the teacher at the time, he's now developed a different style, but the teacher at the time was very direct and very aggressive and was basically like, either you do this or step out. And I think I remember Anastasia just like stepping to the side or stepping out the room. I don't remember the exacts of it, but I do remember the moment that we went to practice being held by the throat. especially women. But the trainer is a 5-foot tall man. He is a jiu-jitsu fighter. He's a world-class jiu-jitsu fighter, and he competes in the smaller weight division. He's 45 or 44 right now, I think. And one of the things he's finally, because I spoke to him about a month ago, he finally came to a place where he started to embrace more of the feminine energy, right? Since we're into talking about the body and we're connecting with the mind and energy here, we do have aspects of masculine and feminine in us. And for years, I had this story that I could not trust men and that I couldn't be safe around men. And like some of you shared some of your stories of when you were younger, I told you my first memory was being thrown up against the wall by my dad. And he's my stepdad and I call him dad, but that was my first memory. And then I shared with you guys on that first day, we look for evidence that's going to support those stories. I might post, there's a great talk by a gentleman named Ed Milet, and this is more on the business side of stuff, that he talks about our identity. And part of the reason we've spent the exercises doing the, hey, what's your intention? Hey, what's your core story? Hey, what do you want to expand, has been to get you to focus on some of those things from your past. But the reason I'm doing that is because the goal is that you let go. And I know some of you have already sent messages that, hey, here's what's opened up for me, here's what's changed. And I think that's phenomenal. And I invite you to continue to look at your past stories and be like, okay, thank you for sharing. Like I literally tell my past stories. Thank you for sharing, and I let them go. I recently started dating again, and I'll be very honest, right? We're all adults here. It got to a point where I was like, okay, I think I want to be intimate with this person. I think I want to have sex with this person. And right away in my head, I heard, well, he's just going to leave you. And I was like, and here we are enjoying, we're watching a movie, we're sitting on the couch together, we're having a really nice time. We had just gone to dinner. And for my mind, right, for that internal dialogue, that internal voice to go, well, he's just going to leave you. A couple of things could have happened. I could have gone into an old pattern of, I can't trust men, men abandon me. Or I could have gone, and which is what I'm telling you guys to practice, which is basically go, I see you. Thank you for sharing. Here's what I'm going to choose anyways. We literally get a chance to reinvent ourselves every day, every moment. We get to tell our body how we want to be. I had a rough health day today. So on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being like excruciating pain that I was crying, I was at a 9 today. And I was like, man, I'm glad I set the class for the evening, because I would have had to done other type of work with myself in the morning had we done it in the morning, or had we done it midday. And I rearranged my schedule today and moved my appointments that I had today to tomorrow. So I say this for a couple of reasons. We really do get to invent life newly. That's the whole reason I do these courses at the end of the year, right? Like granted, this is the second one. But I'm having a reawakening in the sense of, I was sharing with my date last night. I go, I can't believe just how lit up and in alignment I have been the last couple of days leading the group. And I've been managing my pain, right? I'm doing the self-care stuff. I was kind of happy that my kids weren't here today. Like the younger ones were with their dad, and my eldest went on her trip. The only responsibility I had were the cats. So we really do get to invent and reinvent ourselves every moment. So last night when that little voice was like, well, he's just gonna abandon you. And I was like, you know what? I just want to have a nice time. I want to have fun. And I don't remember if I told myself, we were watching Bicentennial Man, and there was a line in the movie that I had heard a couple minutes earlier where one of the characters says, sometimes you have to make the wrong decisions in love, right? Like she's talking about love. And I was like, you know what? Here's a time that I'm going to play with the out the box bad girl Kaya, right? Because in my world, in my normal world, there's rules to dating, and you should wait till your boyfriend and girlfriend, and you should wait, you know, till like 2 or 3 months have gone by. And I'm not joking you, like this is the thing that goes through my mind in the world of dating, right? And here I am with this guy, and I just keep feeling like these intense sex vibes, right? And I had to ask, is this, and then the stuff I'm teaching you guys, I literally run through this in my business, in my personal life, with my kids, with myself. I had to ask me. I had to go, is this me or is this him? And then when I heard it was me, I was like, this is interesting. My body is desiring being touched. My body is desiring sex. My body is desiring these things. And then I had to go like, okay, am I comfortable with this? And then I just literally went through a set of questions for me to know that it was okay for me to move forward, because that's what worked in the moment. But it required me inventing, and I really did call it like bad Kaya, okay? Tapping into naughty Kaya or bad Kaya to let go of the past stories that I know already exist there. I hope this is making sense to you guys. I want to read some of these questions. Let's see. It says, what would you call your abilities? Clairvoyance, medium, psychic, all of the above. I think I fall under multiple things I feel, but not clear on exactly which. At this point, Crystal, I have just accepted that I'm an energy expert. And the reason I call myself an energy expansion expert these days is it takes something to be able to listen to people a certain way. It takes something to be able to tap into energy of people that have crossed over, right? And it takes something different to be able to feel. And I've shared with you guys that we all have these abilities, and they awaken in people in different stages. My daughter called me right the day she was leaving on her trip. She had already left, and she had messaged me and said, hey, I left. Hey, Crystal. And sorry I didn't get to say goodbye. And then I called her on my way home, and she didn't sound herself, right? Like I could hear in her voice that there was something different. And we said hi. She didn't want to like really talk about it. I said, I love you, hung up. 2 to 3 minutes later, she calls me crying. And she's like, I don't feel like myself. And I said, so have you gone through the questions? And she goes, what questions? I go, have you asked yourself and your body, is this me or is this somebody else? And she's like, this doesn't feel like me. It feels like the group, like somebody in the group. And I go, is it one person or is it the whole group? Because she was hanging out with a group of friends that she's new to that group of friends. Oh, the kittens and the babies. I'm going and having a squirrel moment. Ah, he's so cute. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna, let's see, we'll do this. Stop video.
Figuring this out. Out.
Let's see. There we go. All right. I now know why Crystal said cute cats, because she has a cat too. So it's very important that you run through these questions, like practice acknowledging what shows up. I think it's detrimental to us when we try to suppress. There's in psychology, a branch of psychology called ACT, and it stands for, I want to say it's awareness. Let me look it up real quick. Acceptance. Okay, so it's acceptance and commitment therapy. And a few years ago, one of my coaches that worked in my office and I created a kids version of ACT, because at the time I'd just gotten through my separation with my kid's dad, and they were going through a lot. And I was like, I can't go the spiritual route with these kids and just bombard them with all this information. How can we go this in a methodology, with a methodology, right? That's close to what I teach people in the business world or in the spiritual world. And I found awareness commitment therapy, and the coach, one of our coaches at the time, knew about it. And so we ordered the workbook and we reformatted the workbook in such a way that we could do the exercises inside the workbook with our kids. If you haven't heard of ACT before, I definitely recommend you go check it out. A big part of ACT is awareness. If I were to say, what can I relate this to? It's literally mindfulness, because that's what a big part of their methodology teaches. And it also teaches them to be accepting of both their light sides and their dark sides. We have different archetypes. Carl Jung talks about the different child archetypes, and some of those are the dark side of our child. That is, sometimes it's the abandoned child, sometimes it's, I should probably look them up because I don't know them off the top of my head. But inside of ACT, it teaches you to be present in the present, right? Being aware of what comes up and being aware of what your values are. So we did a whole couple of weeks on what are values. And then the commitment part comes along once you've recognized what your values are. What are you really committed to, and how are you going to take actions inside of those commitments? And they have a thing that they call diffusion, meaning the minute that you are aware that you're having this thought or this worry, this anxiety, this thing, right, that's bothering you, how do you release it and let it go instead of suppressing it? They call it diffusion. So definitely, it's a beautiful model. It's more on the mindfulness side of things, and it really is about being aware. Okay, how do I get back to... Hello, Linda. Go ahead and stop her video. Okay. All right, so I want to hear from a couple of you. I know there's some people on here that I haven't gotten to hear what your core story is. I want to come back to that. But I also want to hear from some of you that shared about your physical traumas that occurred. And have you gotten to a point in your life that you're no longer carrying that in your body? Let's see. So Crystal, hopefully that answered your question. At this point, like I said, I just call it being an energy expansion expert. It's just being able to tune into energy. I use the word intuitive quite a bit. Some people like to use the word psychic. To me, psychic makes me feel like I'm on a TV show, or I'm going to be put on the same level as Miss Cleo from way back when. So I stay away from the word psychic. Language is very important. Language on how we say things will dictate how people hear us. And it'll tune out some people and it'll attract certain people. I'm very open that I will curse, right? That I believe in Christ. So there's certain words that I use when I do my live streams, when I do my coaching, when I do my reading work, when I do my healing work, because I want the people that I work with to be as close in belief and values to me. Because I had this happen. I had a young woman who was in a marriage, has 2 children. She came to me for coaching, and she was in a polyamorous relationship. Everything in me screamed, this is not okay. And I had to do some inner work on me, because I like to think that I'm accepting of everyone. And I couldn't figure out why it was bothering me so much. And by our second session, I realized that it wasn't me who was bothered, that it was really bothering her. she was not happy, even though she would say she was okay with it. She was not happy being in a polyamorous relationship. And I remember that the second time she came in for coaching, she had come in because that was the night her husband was going to be with his other partner. And talk about dark night of the soul, right? Like, she went through a moment if she had to have a heart-to-heart. And I told her, somebody earlier asked, how do you have a heart-to-heart with your body or where it's holding pain? And I said to her, this is a coming to Jesus moment. You got to decide. It's great. You made certain decisions in your life that brought you to this point, and you say you wanted X, Y, and Z, and you now have X, Y, and Z, and you're realizing this isn't what I thought it would be. I don't like how this feels. I don't like any of this experience. I don't want this anymore. And we seem to think that when we get to this point that we have to stay there. And I've been there, right? We're living a human experience. I think a lot of us have been there. It takes something to go, you know what? It's okay for me to pivot. I call it a pivot, right? Like, you're gonna adjust, kind of like you do in basketball or in hockey or in football. You pivot, right? Before you turn, you pivot. It puts you in a different direction, puts your focus, your mind, your sight in a total different direction. And sometimes it's okay to completely dissolve everything and start anew. Okay. You guys are talking about the babies. So apparently I wasn't the only one that was oohing and eyeing with the babies. Let's see. Okay, so Candy asked, are there any certain things you need to say to your body in order to have a heart-to-heart to remove body pain? The best advice I can give you on this one is, once you've distinguished where the pain is, there are certain visualizations you can do. If one of you has pain right now that wants to volunteer and you want to get rid of this pain, let me know. We can walk through the exercise right now. If not, because I don't see anybody unmuting themselves. If not, I can walk you through the exercise, Candy. So just send me a private message and we can do that exercise together. The other thing that's very helpful is the Ho'oponopono prayer. If you've never heard of that, it's a Hawaiian prayer. And let me see if I can find. You can definitely find a lot of guided meditations with music to the Ho'oponopono prayer. Tanya says she has neck pain. Okay, Tanya, are you able to come into the Zoom conference call? Because it's going to require me asking you a set of questions as I walk you through it. Oh, Linda raised her hand. Linda, do you have some type of pain?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right, perfect. I guess we'll do that. Let me just wrap up with the Ho'oponopono prayer. You can go to YouTube. There's lots of variations of it. The story I can tell you that was very impactful for me was after they took out my appendix 2 years ago. I could not spiritually, intuitively see anything. Everything was dark. My body felt heavy. I was on drugs. I was coming out of anesthesia. And I was like, I remember having the thought, and my mom was there, is this what normal people feel like? And I literally said that out loud to my mom, and she goes, what are you talking about? And I go, Mom, when I close my eyes, I can't see anything. It's dark. And she goes, yeah, that's what it usually looks like. And I go, no, Mom, when I usually close my eyes, I can spiritually see. Like, I see colors, I see shapes, I see things. And she goes, I've never had that happen. So I was like, okay, that answers my question. Normal people, right, or people who haven't opened up their spiritual senses, apparently when they close their eyes, don't see anything. So I went ahead and I had asked my mom to bring me my headphones and my phone at the time, and I played there was an 8-hour version of the Ho'oponopono prayer. And it was repeating itself over and over again. And I started from my toes and kept repeating the prayer till I got to the top of my body. I don't remember how long it took, but what I do remember is my mom's reaction. Because she said, you went from having this pale grayish look to your skin tone. And she goes, you're glowing. My mom was like, you're glowing. And I felt all the tingling. I could see light again. I felt like me again. So yes, you can definitely do things like using the Ho'oponopono prayer. Okay, so we've talked about ACT. You guys definitely make a note about that. Frida is my designated note taker, I guess. So ACT therapy, Ho'oponopono prayer. We've gone through the whole pendulums, Wim Hof breathing, and box breathing. Those are the 4 things we've covered today. I'm gonna finish this exercise with you guys and then we'll wrap up for today, and then I'll post your exercises. Let's see. All right, Linda. So are you sitting down or laying down?
Sitting.
Okay. And do you have me on speaker? Do you have a headset?
I have you through the phone.
Okay, but you can hear me on speaker somewhere. You can put the phone down so you're not holding it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I want you to sit down and make sure your feet are planted firmly on the ground. So it's easiest if you take off your shoes. If you have any jewelry, it's easier if you take those off. Just make sure you don't have anything that feels restricting.
I got rings on. Let me get those off.
It's like when you're going in for a massage session. They're like, please take all your jewelry off.
Oh, my wedding ring. Get off. All right, I'm done. Okay, ready. Got nothing on now.
Okay. All right, Linda, can you tell me what area of your body is it that you're having pain in?
Pretty much everywhere, but the one that's significant right now is I have an infection from ingrown toenail, and it hasn't gone away for the last month and a half, even though I've been on antibiotics.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so with this type of exercise, the only reason I ask, like, where's the pain or what it is just to kind of get an idea. And whoever's going to be walking through this exercise, I want to let you know, it doesn't matter where the person has the pain. Okay? All right, so you're going to go ahead and make sure your feet are planted firmly on the ground.
Okay.
Make sure your spine is straight.
Okay.
Okay. And then, do you have high blood pressure?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to want to keep your palms down.
Got them.
Normally I tell people to put their palms up, but for whatever reason that came up for you.
Down on my lap or down on my side?
Yeah, on your lap. Put them on your lap. Yeah,
okay.
Just keep them on your lap. And then I'm going to have you close your eyes. And I'm sorry that your body feels all these aches and pains, by the way, because I'm like lighting up like a Christmas tree over here. With, like, I just want to wiggle, and I'm like, oh my God, someone needs to adjust my back.
That's what I've been saying for a month.
Yeah.
I gotta go see my chiropractor.
Definitely.
So confirmation.
Okay. And then the infection you have going on, is it on your left foot or your right foot? Because I'm feeling it on my left.
It's actually my right.
Okay. So we're mirroring each other. So guys, here's another like tidbit lesson. If you're doing remote healing work, you want to identify with your clients if you're mirroring their pain or you're directly feeling and sensing the actual area that it's in. Okay. And it's very common for us to mirror the pain, especially because what happens is I'm imagining that she's sitting in front of me. So just so you know what's going on in my head. And the reason my eyes are closed is because I want to tap into that part of my imagination, right? So I'm imagining that she's sitting right in front of me. And so when I'm picking up in her pain, my left side's where I feel my toe. And it's very uncomfortable and it's hot and it's achy and throbbing and yeah, okay. And then my body starts to do other things as I pick up on the rest of her body. Now, what's different about this type of exercise is we're going to go inward with Linda instead of focusing on what's going on the outside. Okay, so Linda, I'm going to have you take a deep breath in, and I like to ask people to breathe in through their nose, and then make sure that your tongue touches the roof of your mouth and that you exhale with your mouth open. So you'll sound like Darth Vader if you do it right. Okay, so I want to hear that exhale. So go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose, tongue on the roof, and exhale through your mouth open. There we go. Okay, so I want you to do that a couple more times. You're doing perfect. Deep breath in and exhale. And one more time, deep breath in. Push that air all the way deep down into your belly and exhale. All right, so I want you to tune into your body, Linda, and just for a minute, as your eyes are closed, I want you to ask your body, where are you holding this pain? And you can literally tell your body, this thing that I'm dealing with my toe, this infection with my toe, where am I holding it? And then once you can sense where it is or feel where it is, let me know.
I don't know, it's a little confusing because what stands out is my lower, like left hip and back, which is where I have the residual from the stroke. So
okay, so that's fine. So all we're doing is identifying. We're literally going, okay, body, I have this pain. Where am I holding it though?
yeah,
We seem to think, oh, my elbow hurts, it has to be my elbow. And that's not the case. We call it referred pain in body work.
okay,
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay, so now that you have identified the location, I want you to imagine or pretend that this pain has a color. What is the color that you see?
White.
Okay, and does it have a shape?
Like kind of oval.
Okay, does it have a texture? Is it smooth? Is it spiky? Is it rough?
It's like slicky.
Ooh,
Slick, smooth.
yeah. And by this point, it's okay if your hands want to move as you do this, okay? Because I keep feeling like my hands want to almost make the shape of what you're talking about. So it's okay if you feel like you need to move your hands.
I feel like I'm kind of holding it lightly.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but literally, like, I'm holding this thing too. Okay. How big would you say it is?
As big as my hips radius from one to the next.
Okay. So now I want you to breathe into this space. And here's the part we sometimes get stuck in, okay? Pain is just there because it's giving us a message. It's there to protect us. So I want you to ask, as you're staring at this slicky blob, white ball, say, why are you here?
Why are you here?
And then once you hear the response or see the response or feel the response, go ahead and let me know.
I'm stressing out.
Okay.
That's what it said. You stressing out, girl.
Okay. And then, because we're having a conversation with our pain. Literally, that's what we're doing. Is there anything else?
Is there anything else? You gotta let it go. You gotta let go. Because it
Okay.
wants to go.
Okay.
Doesn't want to be there. But I guess
Yeah.
I'm
It's ready to go. It's ready to move.
Mhm.
Okay, now I want you to breathe into this again. And I want you to say thank you. Thank you for what you're telling me. Thank you for what you're showing me.
Thank you.
Now I want you to imagine that you're sending love and light to this area, to this thing, to this energy. We're acknowledging that it's there. And as you breathe in and exhale, you might start to notice that it's shifting and changing, and it might change in size, it might change in texture, it might even move locations.
Now it's more like a circle, and it kind of tucked itself into my left hip.
Okay. And so now I want you to go there. So go to the space where it's moved to. And just say, I see you.
See you.
I acknowledge you.
I acknowledge you.
I'm ready to let you go.
I'm ready to let go now.
Thank you for helping me.
Thank you for helping me.
And just take some deep breaths and imagine love and light going into that particular area.
Ooh. I feel relief.
Okay, so now I want you to check in with your body because I'm feeling some other stuff. Because that feels pretty dissipated, by the way.
Yeah, I feel more relief.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more relaxed.
Check in with your body again
Yes.
and just ask. And so what you're going to ask is, are any of my other aches and pains ready to go?
Are any of my other aches and pains ready to go? Yeah.
Okay, so where are we now? Where are you seeing this? And I like to call it a thing of energy, right? So where's this energy now?
Up in my neck and my shoulders, top of my shoulders, kind of like I feel like hands kind of holding me down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so now we're going to do the exact same thing again. So I want you to look into it, right? We're looking for the color, texture, size.
Colors kind of look like watermelon, green, pink.
Ooh.
Basically the shape of the shoulders, and then
Yeah.
like a wishbone.
So I want you to ask this time, are you a childhood memory?
Are you a childhood memory? No.
Then ask, are you from a recent injury?
I am from a recent injury. Yeah.
Okay. So each time we do these types of exercises, things might shift because this one has like a different vibration to it. I don't know if you can tell the difference between what was going on in your hip and what's going on in your neck.
Yeah, it's more achy, more of a I don't know, just uncomfortable. I'm not,
Okay.
I don't know, like the dull achy, not the sharp ache.
Okay. And so we're going to go through the same, even though it's something recent, right? We're going to go through that same process. So I just want you to breathe into it, look into it. And we're going to acknowledge it. So you want to say thank you.
Thank you.
And then you want to say if it's ready to go, right?
Are you ready to go? Yeah, it's somewhat releasing.
This was a little stubborn. So, and that's okay. So you just want to ask, what is it that you want me to know? What do you want me to see? What do you want me to know?
Is it that you want me to know? What do you want me to see? Just part of the stress again, a lot of tension. I'm creating tension.
Okay, so now you're going to say thank you. I acknowledge you.
Thank you. I acknowledge you.
Okay. You should start to feel that energy dissipate.
Yeah, my neck's popping. My shoulders are relaxing a little bit.
Good. So when I started working with you, there was a lot going on, and then your body's starting to cool down. Make sure you drink plenty of water, okay?
Yep.
And I'm going to start to have you wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, open your eyes.
Okay.
You did really wonderful, Linda.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I want to hear from a couple of you, at least one or two of you, because we're getting ready to wrap up. What's your takeaway from today's session? Did you want to say something, Linda?
Oh, I said honor my body.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely. By the way, when we were tuning into the energy on your neck and you were saying the stuff you're stressing about, I kept hearing, you know, to acknowledge motherhood, right? Like, own that you've done your job, Linda. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Moved me.
You're so welcome. That was so loud and clear, though. So remember that. A lot of that stuff, that stress in the neck, is coming about the stress and worry of doing it right as a parent, being that.
It makes sense. I was a single parent, so yeah.
I confirm I'm her daughter.
Wait, who's your daughter? Your daughter's on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, Crystal.
Oh, you guys are so cute. Okay. So, Crystal, what's your takeaway today?
I need more time for this. If you didn't notice all the chaos surrounding me, it's hard to get like a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely, if you haven't started working on your vision board, Crystal, bring some of that energy of what you're wanting to create to the picture, right?
I know that I had mentioned Pinterest, which boggled my mind because I never said it out loud. Because I don't have magazines really, and I don't have like I don't know. I probably can get a board, but like I don't have anything to put on a board. So that was in my head that I wanted to use Pinterest. And you were like, no. That you said I had mentioned it, and I was like, I didn't even say it.
I know sometimes, oh my God, my kids, sometimes I'm like, did I say that out loud or did I just like think it? And
I totally caught it from my subconscious.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So I shared that video in the beginning with you guys about like what it's like to date a spiritual person, because I swear our families have to deal with our crazy, right? Like, I love that we got to see your kids and the cat, and I can so relate to it. I had to literally close my door and kick the cats out twice today, because even though my kids aren't here, they're like, my kitten had decided to jump in the dresser and climb through the drawers. I'm just like, what are you doing? Right before the live stream, and she was stuck. And I'm going, I gotta start this live stream. Like, really? Right now? So, yeah, with that being said, there's a tactile experience, and I'm gonna mute you for a second. We want to make as many connections to our brain to change our way of thinking and change our habits and our way of doing things, okay? And so the way that becomes quickest is when we activate both the body, our speaking and doing. The more senses you incorporate into the activities, the more neuron connections that are occurring. This is why I tell people write, don't type. This is why I tell people go cut the images or print them and cut them, glue them. Something is happening at in a neural level, right? When we do those activities. So that's the reason. It's not that I'm against the tech. Believe me, I have Pinterest boards for, you know, things that I want in my bedroom, or trips that I want to take. And while those are phenomenal, like reminders on our phone, there's nothing like the experience of printing the images out, cutting them, and have them in a place where you get to admire the work that you put together. Okay. So that's why I say that. So, you know, things I've had people do is libraries usually will have magazines that they're getting rid of. I'll ask teachers, right? I'll ask fellow teachers, do you have any magazines? Business owners are a great place to go and be like, hey, do you have any old magazines you're getting rid of? Printing them out. So definitely don't discount any of those things. And the other part of this, not just for Crystal, for everyone, the exercises, I tell people, do your best to do them the way they were designed. You're gonna be challenged, you're gonna be confronted. Something will occur in you that'll have you go, oh, I'm just gonna go do it this way. And most coaches will let that slide and they'll let that go by. I only have so many days with you guys, right? So I say no, and that's the reason I was like, no, go do it this way. Because I want you out of your comfort zone. I want you out of the normal. So if the thing that's out of your norm is to have quiet time alone, then go find a space that you can have quiet time alone, because it's going to take something different inside of you to make that happen. I know that quite a bit of you weren't in the class when we covered the Merlin principle. I just want to make sure if any of you have questions around that, please post them in the group. I'd be happy to do another video recap of it. If you don't understand it from the replays are now up in the group. Let me share my screen and share. Oh yeah, by the way, this is what the pentagram of the act looks like. Okay, so I want to go to the energy expansion group. And my team is asking me to get off and go give them certain things. Okay, so if you're on your computer, you'll see that there are popular topics, and there are actually a section now that says replays. There's a section that says day 2 post and day 1 post. So obviously today's replay will be up there tomorrow. And it'll say replays, and it'll be here. So you can actually go to these, and it'll take you to the section for the replay. Okay, so if I go to day 2 post, it'll actually take me to the day 2 post. Okay, day 1 post. This is one of the reasons I like the tags. The other thing is you want to make sure you're going to your units, right? So unit 1 was the forgiveness. Unit 2 was the vision board. Unit 3, which we covered yesterday, was the Merlin principle and visualization. And unit 4 was the get curious exercise. It seems like a lot of you didn't get a chance to do that, so I invite you to go ahead and do that. Make sure you're clicking in the little dots. Shoot. So you want to click on the link, and you want to make sure you're clicking on the see more to see the actual full exercise. Okay, so this, I know quite a bit of you said you didn't get a chance to do this. Go do this exercise today. Okay, I think only 2 people have done their vision board. Go complete your vision board. Add those things to your board that you're wanting to accomplish, and be in the place of, I'm doing this from the experiences I want to have. So if you want to experience more travel, and because that gives you freedom, it's like my word is freedom, then I'm going to look for images and words that make me feel freedom or experience the word freedom when I see them. All right, I think that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to post a quick little wrap-up video right after this, and then we'll post the replay, hopefully tonight, if not tomorrow. I know that my admin has the flu. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, Frida, did I ask you? I think I called you, but I didn't ask you. What's your biggest takeaway tonight, girl?
I think I did answer this, and that was just the energy that I received from the exercise. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure, because I remember saying your name out loud, but I don't remember if you got a chance to talk. But okay, cool. Thank you. All right, Ms. Linda. Go ahead, Frida.
Sorry. The other one is am I muted? No.
Nope, we can hear you.
The other one was I remembered being able to ask your body, but it's funny because sometimes I'm listening to you talking to other people and I'm picking up, and then I find the answer was exactly what I was receiving. And so I'm sort of practicing a little bit. And so when we did the pendulum work, and then you said asking your body, so learning to, because that's where I am also in my journey is, yeah, I use the cards and I have my tools and everything, but it feels like there's more of a reach from spirit to receive in other ways through my body / through like messages that come through rather than using the tools. So.
Yes. At the end of the day, we truly are the best tool we have. You know, these external things really are almost like training wheels is the way I think about it. And they're a great jump start, right? Like they're a great foundational, like, hey, I'm going to start with this. But eventually we want to keep practicing and developing our own style, our own technique. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodnight. My team keeps sending me messages of things I got to do. So apparently I'm accountable to my team. So you guys have a beautiful good night. I'm going to jump on and do the recap in a little bit, and I will see you guys tomorrow. We're going to do the video tomorrow. Let me double check my calendar real quick before I jump off. So we did a morning, we did a midday, and we did a night. Tomorrow. Okay, so it looks like I'll be able to do a midday live stream tomorrow. So probably around I'm gonna schedule it for 3:30. So yeah. So we'll be on tomorrow at 3:30, guys. Lots of kisses. Great work, everyone. Have a good night.